What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we're gonna go over Digimon Alysion, or the new mobile game that is coming to us. I got to test the beta, and here's some thoughts and my idea processes. So let's talk about the good, the bad, just a general good review of this. I'll have videos of my time there on screen the whole time. So without further ado, let's dive in the video and talk about it. So first off, let's talk about just the game in general. As you guys can see, this game, when you play the matches and stuff like that, it's very much looks like the cookie cutter paste of any of the stock like Master Duel, Magic Online, and games like that kind of things, or Riftbounds, the Pixel Born shenanigans that happen there. But all in all, this is kind of just base visuals. Things I don't really like on the hub screen is that on your opponent's trash, they put the settings and the ability to surrender over their trash, so you have to precise click. There's a few clicking issues. Again, this is beta, so I don't expect it to always come through. There are times where I was playing the game and all of a sudden you'll even catch it in my multiple times when I made TikTok videos, which again, you guys can go check out the TikToks. Look up RideMyAvatar and TikTok, and you guys can see basically everything I kind of clipped and stuff. Because I figured it was a mobile game, best way of showcasing it is just upload it onto the mobile style instead of producing, a bunch of long form videos that you guys may or may not like to watch on YouTube. If you guys like that, let me know down in the comments if you guys want me to upload some of the matches and stuff like that. But, the hub screen, the match screen was one of my bigger takes that I kind of wish they will fix. That is something I'm mentioning in my review, that probably bring over the setting buttons over to the opponent's egg deck, because that doesn't affect any of them and it's not something you can look at anyway. So if you bring the settings to the left instead of keeping it on the right, because it takes up less interactive, then your whole opponent's deck and trash is now clickable and the trash becomes less of an issue. I get that they kind of went with, follow the baseline of what every, Magic and Master Duel kind of does, and they have it on the right. Because again, most players are right-handed, and I get that's where the common denominator is there, but because we have to interact with our opponent's trash, bring it over to the left. I think that'll be the best solution, because again, on mobile, you're not playing on a PC. That is an option for the PC or any other ports, because they change it up to solidify that in a way which is good. But I think bringing the settings over is really good. And again, as players are saying, when even I noticed, the game is a little bit slow. It feels like it takes some time for response. Major things that I think should be improved, that can be easily improved, is opponent's timer. I think, turn timer, the 30 minutes for a match or 20 minutes for a match is completely fine in my opinion. I think that's fine. You should be able to play a best of one instantly. There should be no issues on that. Keeping that in mind, that we do have games that just I've lost because my opponent just decided to run the clock out to give a tie. Again, you can tell that also they gave a lot of gems for just winning and losing. 5 gems for loss, 50 for wins. That's fine, but I do not expect that to be permanent. I think when on release, I'd expect maybe 5 for a loss and maybe 25 for a win. I don't expect 50. 50 is just way too fast. you would basically make this free to play extremely, and nobody would invest, money. Because again, that's the whole point of these games, is to make gacha money, unless they are planning on making this a free game and they have no intentions of making gacha, which I don't believe. There's going to be some sort of currency involved. They're going to be doing something with it. I don't expect this to be like, just one of those free simulators that you get all the cards. So keeping that in mind, I think just making the timeout timer just a little bit faster, instead of, if I remember correctly, it's almost, 20 seconds of non-activity before it fully runs out. And that's a lot of time where your opponent can just, BS it around and just kind of play things and, fully interact with their turn. So that's something that eats up quick in the time, because we are only in a 20-minute time limit. It becomes a very problem. But, we have also the other things are that, it doesn't look like the prettiest game around the block. It definitely has its benefits that, you get some really cool cards and stuff, which, again, pretty cool. One thing I have to tell you guys is that you are in set 3 meta. The beta starts at set 3. Does that mean we won't get to set 22 in probably a year or two? Maybe 3 years, I would say. Probably not. Probably. We'll get there. Because if they release monthly, which I think would be probably their go-to point, I think we would see a complete catch up by then. Major things that I do hope that they kind of implement as well are a few things. I want to see a friends feature. I want to see a lobby room feature where you can just play with your friends and stuff like that, so you don't have to climb. I know ladders coming with rank, so you'll have the casual Andy's format, and then you'll have the sweaty rank, which again, I expect, what I hope to see is something with like Cardfight Vanguard, right? That we get exclusive promo alts of certain cards. That would be really cool to have, super chaseable stack, right? You make top, let's just say you reach rank 20 or 30 and you get one of the promos. Then if you reach, let's say, rank 15 or something like that through the ladder that whole month, you get a playset or something. It's a way of kind of giving incentive to be able to get those cards. I think that would be really cool, especially if you use the Alysion's cards exclusively. First waves, like, just give us exclusive alts of these cards that players would love to have. Next, we do have a lot of good aspects of it. I love that we got a lot of brand new cards, and it wasn't one for one the meta. Yes, we know that meta's kind of solved, but they introduced a little bit. We have Blue Alysion, that is basically a form of playing none other than, guess what? Iceclad. So the ability to basically swing into your opponent's Digimon unsuspended, by the way. You can, because you have inheritables to do that. You have an ability to gain piercing, and you can pierce through and just remove the big bodies very comfortably. It's really powerful because, again, having the ability to multi-swing and swing into your opponent is a great way of control, and this gives basically Blue Omni a new shell. Red Omni kind of got a boost in the form of the new reptilian stuff. That deck was quite fun. It gave a unique way of playing as well. It had piercing as well, but it had a option to be able to swing into your opponent's stuff, but it also had abilities of being able to pop your opponent's Digimon, but also giving an inheritable security +1 in its ultimate line, which again would have been amazing set 1 Omnimon, but outside of that, I think this is pretty cool to get some new support. You know, there was also Sophiga running around, but there was also like support for like Diaboro. You had support for Lilithmon. I mean, Rosemon support. You had so much new cards that weren't originally printed, but they were unique. They gave us a Magna Angemon that would probably have replaced Angewomon from the original Seraphimon deck in a heartbeat because of how powerful it is, being able to just no conditional security attack -1. But also it had a when digivolving -3k something, which again, for a card that never existed, having that functionality really is cool. I think giving new waves of new creative, you know, exclusive, the fact that Diaboromon got a 8 cost option that can become a 6 cost option that also produces 2 tokens is really good that are blockers. So again, they know where decks needed some TLC, and it makes a lot of sense, right? I think giving those decks some crazy support is really cool. They even gave Rust Tyrannomon some support in a form of an option as well, which again, not a lot of players probably tested out the Rust support. I missed out on it on the first go around, but that's okay. But I think giving us new cards, especially cards that they can manipulate, control, produce at a given time to edit and modify if the card is too broken, you know, is going to be really good. And I think it'll be very healthy for the game. And this game should last a good long while. Again, a lot of players will have to suck it up, Buttercup. And we're going to be talking about the meta itself. The meta is kind of 95% solved. There's not much deviance from what you'll expect. And what do I mean by that? Megazoo, Setcon, and Rookie Rush. Sarasmon was at full power in the beta. I don't expect them to give full power Sarasmon. Who knows? They might give it a little bit of a run and let players do Saras at full power, but I do not expect long-term wise that it's going to do that. But I think the game definitely gave a lot of ways of earning coins and stuff like that. You got a 3-day task event that basically, well, 3 tasks in a day. You get 50 coins doing so, which is pretty cool. I expect that there'll be a season pass that kind of gives more coins, you know, the gems of buying the pack currency. But they also give you a free pack a day. It basically spits out, you know, from all the current sets in there. So again, really cool. The big thing I really liked was the crafting system. I think they're going to change the crafting numbers because no way will they allow you to craft that much. If you had a foil of a card and you broke it down, it was like 2,000 crafting material. So basically, if you decrafted, like, let's just say 1, 2, 3. Let's just say you decrafted 20 of them. That's 60,000 crafting material. Legendaries were designed, you know, the supers cost you 1,500, and then, you know, 3,000 for the secrets, which if you can just build off of that, you could easily have a competitive deck very strong early on, and that's not terrible. I think if that was the case, you would only need to do some of the missions. They also had daily login bonus, which gave you a bunch of gems, but they also had certain objective missions, right? They had logging in for 4 days, you got 3,000. If you ended up running through, let's just say you digivolved in breeding area 15, I think it was like 200 times. After you did all that, you got enough to open 20 packs. So there was a lot of ways of starting out with good pack opening. I don't expect this to kind of be in the main game, but who knows? Long-term wise, you'll definitely see that it will be part of the game eventually. I think that we take in granted that sometimes they give you some good resources, but with you knowing what the meta is going to turn out to be in the future, until enough Alysion support is in the game that would over trump the current meta, I don't think we're going to see much difference. We're going to start up to BT3, so you're going to just see a lot of the normal, Imperial Dramon, Ceres, Rookie Rush, Setcon, Megazoo, all those things. You have Ragnar Lordmon sneaking in. So, running back and just looking up BT3 meta, you can pull from most of the videos of old times and just gain that much value. I'll make some videos on Eliza's meta in a little while, in like a few days or something, just to talk further into it. But a lot of players were definitely testing out the new cards, right? And again, that's the whole point of the beta, to learn what is going to be going in and out of the game. And I don't disagree that some players are going to go like, well, it's solved. Why waste time on new cards? Well, new cards, definitely new decks completely can change things up. There's also Historiumon and stuff like that. There's also the first 2 chapters are really cool just to have as a segue of story to kind of dive you into the characters a bit. And also gets you enough gems to open up. I think it was after I ran through it, I had enough to open up 20 packs for just the first 2 chapters, which is phenomenally fair to be able to open up 20 packs, which means you get a lot of decrafting material, which again, I think they don't auto decraft anything you pull your excess of. So you will keep, cards you have. If you pull the 5th one, you can hit a button to decraft your extras or add it to your collection. So it's pretty decent that way, and I really do like the game, and I don't have any complete objections on how they handle the game going forwards. I think it has a lot to improve before main release, but I think game-wise, we're in the right spot. I think we have all the tools we need for a good mobile game, and this is going to be what it's going to be. I think change-ups can happen. The meta is going to shift with the Alysion support, and as time goes on, we'll have the best kind of mobile game to get practice and reps on. But again, that's going to take probably a good 4 years before we kind of get fully caught up with the main set. And then that's where I kind of see them kind of like, oh, BT 20, no, 31 or something like that. We finally catch up. Here's a pack, scan this QR code, you get, because you bought the pack, here's a free gem or something like that. Wouldn't be surprised if that's how they go about it in the future. It'd be really cool to kind of support the game that way. But again, it also eventually probably trickle in to actually cards getting released to us. I don't think a lot of it's going to be stuck versions exclusive onto the mobile game, because eventually you're going to want players to shift over to your physical card game along with your mobile. Do I think we're going to have some sort of events with our mobile? Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if we have, I'm thinking about, once this releases, to start hosting at least once a week events of just Digimon Eliza tournaments, just so people can have a spot to actually play the game. But I don't know if that'll be prized or not. I don't know yet. I want to say yes, I want to prize it. I don't know if we can make this cashed event or something like that, or a gift card event or something. That would be kind of fun to give you guys like something like, hey, here's gifts. Here's a since you entered, here's $20 after the prize pool or something like that, of your iTunes or the Android marketplaces gift cards. I want to make sure you guys get your time and value out of it, but hopefully guys, this gives you a good understanding and watching the gameplay down below and everything I went through. I think again, we have a lot going on for us in a good way. I think especially because now crafting is super valued, that metas can shift in a heartbeat. So if you guys are facing way too many setcon on ladder, you can switch into the meta contender that'll deal with setcon. Then you can go to decks that, you know, can deal with, you know, Rookie Rush or something like that. If Rookie Rush is starting to dominate in there, or Mega Zoo is just being a pain in the butt, you can switch over to decks that can deal with it. And I really do like that the ability to craft things will make it super easy to be able to shift in ladder in a heartbeat. One other thing I do want to say is that if they're going to do anything, I want them to change the deck boxes. Change it so that the card is showed up, or be able to change the name. I could not change the name. It was just my deck, my deck, my deck, my deck. And I had to click on it for the egg to appear. And I don't like to be clicking on things. I think it's a waste of time, but change that up. I think that's a big plus. But all in all, I did enjoy the game. I think a lot of people that joined on the stream with me, which I did do, enjoyed it as well. So guys, let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed Digimon Eliza, if you got to test the beta. Are you super hyped? I don't expect this to be our main thing. Digimon, the Digimon sim from, you know, Juan Zero will be where we will be playing majority of our testing, probably going forwards until Digimon Eliza gets there. But all in all, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.